Do you know how to format a script in a CSV file to automate your FireTEK show? Well, let's go through it. First, CSV file is a comma-separated value file format used to store tabular data. But we don't need to go into all those details here. Now, a CSV file you can create in a spreadsheet application. And what I have is I use OpenOffice, Microsoft Excel, Google Sheets. You can do the same thing. So I've got just this generic spreadsheet open. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save it as a CSV file. And key thing here is to save it as a CSV file. And you should have this option in just about any spreadsheet application. That's step one. A CSV file, there's the first row essentially has headers, and then the fields below it correspond with those headers. For an example here, let's just make this up. This has nothing to do with FireTEK. And if I can spell things correctly. So if I save this here and I go and look at that file, and let's just going to open this up in a notepad here. This is a CSV file. Right, so we've got the header here. We've got the records here below of the different fields, state field, vehicle, color, number fields separated by commas. That's basically all you need to know for a CSV file. Now this has nothing to do with FireTEK, this format here, so we'll just go ahead and remove that. But what format do we need to use for FireTEK? Well, the first thing you should do is you should go look up in the changelog. So changelog firmware 6.1, there was a new CSV file header format provided. ID, Rails, channel, time, sequence, value, duration 1, custom 2, and custom 3. So we're going to copy those over. All right, we're going to go ahead and save that there. The ID, this is the module number. So when you assign your modules an ID number, ID 1, 2, 3, etc., this is the module number. The Rails, that's pretty self-explanatory. This is Rails 1 through 4. Channel, the channel is 1 through 12, the queues on the rail. Time is in milliseconds. So this is your initiation time. Sequence, we'll talk about that in another video. Oh, I missed one here. Go back and just double check here. Sequence value duration. Value and duration, these have to do with DMX, and I'll set up another video going through DMX. And then the custom here, these custom ones, this has to do with the fields in the FT control Android application. And I'll just hide those. What we'll do here first is we're just going to do 12 events here on module 1, rail 1, and we'll go through all 12 channels or queues. All right, so that's a full rail's worth on rail 1. Now for right now, we're just going to set this to go at 1 second intervals. So we're in milliseconds, so there's 1 second, 2 seconds, 3, etc. Okay. And for sequence right now, we're just going to put all of this at sequence 0. What this script is doing is for module 1, rail 1, we're going to have all the queues go off at 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. get 10 in there. There we go. Now, if we wanted to add another rail, if we wanted to do rail 2, and let's just say we'll do 6 events there. Again, this is we're just going to do one module here. Do that all as module 1, and but now we're starting another rail, right? So we'll start rail 1 or Q1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now there's some limitations on how quickly you can fire events on the modules, but for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to do this at a starting at half of a second. We'll do 1 second intervals. Alright, so now we've got a script all on module 1. It's going to be firing rails 1 and from rails 2, and for the first 12 events it's going to be alternating. It's going to first fire this one here at half a second, then 1 second, then 1.5 seconds, then 2 seconds. So that's basically how you would put a script together manually. I guess I already saved this. And then let me change the camera over and we'll go through loading this up. Alright, switched cameras now, and here is our file that we created, this CSV file. We had ID 1 for just one module. We had rails 1 and 2, queues 1 through 12 on rail 1 and 1 through 6 on rail 2. We had 1 second intervals on rail 1, a staggered 1 second interval starting with a half second for the first 6 queues on rail 2. The sequence said just to leave that as 0. I'll have another video on sequences and multi-sequences. The value here in duration was for DMX, and these were for the Android app here. Now what I'd like to do is to load this script from the computer into a single module using the FTEK, the FTEK app. That uses a slightly different format. It doesn't recognize these here, so we're just going to go ahead and delete these. It does recognize and load DMX files, but for right now we're just going to copy zeros over onto the value field there, and we'll go ahead and save that. So for the version of the FTEK app that I have, this is the file format that's needed to load. I've got the FTEK app here on the other screen, but before we load this up, I'll show you what we have plugged into the computer here. We've got a FTH48FX module, the USB connection to the computer. Let me go ahead and start this up. Once this starts up, we'll give it ID 1 since our script only had one ID. So go ahead and hit the forward green button. You heard the computer chime that it made the connection, and I've gone into test mode. You can see up here I've got the rails connected. Now rail 1 is on the right there. Rail 1 and 2 I plugged in incandescent light bulbs. You can see on rail 3 and 4 you can see the integrated LEDs pulsing as it's doing its continuity check. And what we're going to do now is go ahead and load the script. So now with the module powered on and connected to the computer, we'll configure the port. You should only have one option here. It's COM3 BOSA program. Hit OK. Then you're going to initialize the connection here. We're going to load the messages. The CSV file, the individual rows are referred to as messages in this app. So we'll load our script, and it's recognized it. It's brought it in. All 18 messages were read. And now what we're going to do is send the messages to the module. So hit send here and we'll see the messages sent down here. It sent all 18 messages. These actually all turned blue too to indicate that they've been transferred. We look at the module now. It's at program. Now we started this up. This is in an independent state here. What we'll do is we'll change for this video here. We'll change this to a master and fire the script from just the module. I've got indications here on the screen. And one of the benefits of the FireTEK system is it gives you a lot of information on the screen. Now this V here is giving me an indication that I've got something programmed for that queue, but there's not a connection there. And I'll have another video that'll go through all this indication. But let's check that one on the screen that we see. And so, yeah, I've got Q3 here. It's got a loose light bulb. I had to pause the camera there for a moment, and so I had both hands and plugged that light bulb in. So now if we check back on the screen, you'll see I don't have that indication anymore. I've got a solid box there for all 18 of my programmed queues. Now when I started this up, it started up in independent mode. So what we're going to do is go ahead and turn this off. And when we turn it back on, we're going to hold the forward green button while it powers up. And it went into master mode, and the first thing it'll do is it'll power on slaves. It's looking for any slaves. Now the script in here only has one module on it. So we push the forward button and we'll get into test. Now once we're into test, if we do a long hold on the green forward button, we'll go into armed. And again, we get a slightly different indication of our rails there, which we'll go through on another video. But I'll go ahead and press the green forward button again once we're in the armed state, and it will start the script. Now I could pause this by pushing the green button again. I can hit the green button once more and it will continue to go back into play. Now once it's done, I can hit the back button to go back to pause first, and hit it again, and I'll go back into test. So there's a real simple video of creating a script manually on a computer and loading it with the FTEK app into a module, and starting and controlling the script by just the individual module. Hope you found that was helpful.